So unfortunately this had to be a two-parter, guys, but the next one should be very short. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this rant, and like and subscribe if you do. Have you heard of the disappointment called Otakon? Because we experienced it. Not very nice. So, moving into this video, I would like to put in a disclaimer. You do not have to listen to me. I'm just one person. However, you can listen to other people if you'd like to, because there's a lot of them. I'm sure we'll include the Instagram comments at some point in time in this. But anyways,
I'm gonna delete it.
We're getting to that. Relax. So, anyways, this convention is in Washington, D.C., and I live in Oshawa. So the day we left stupidly early. It was like 4:30 in the morning just to get down there for Wednesday. It's like an 8-9 hour drive. So it's a little bit of a hike, but we're gonna fast forward through everything and just get right into Thursday, which is badge registration, because I feel like I should mention that with the badges, I have my father, Tasia, and me, and I have a companion for Tasia, because I'm her companion, because she has the accessibility, or what they called accessibility plus. I also have accessibility, because my knees are like shot for some reason, but also just in case that I needed to join her and they didn't trust the companion badge for whatever reason. But my father also has an accessibility badge because he's got leg and knee problems and foot problems and whatever, so he can't stand in lines too long. So anyways, jumping into day one, we get there early because when you read the back of this badge, it says convention opens right here at 8 a.m. So you show up at 8 a.m. Excuse me, only to realize the dealer hall is where you want to be. That opens at noon. My phone, my camera is vibrating. There must be a train going by.
There is a train here.
I like trains.
I like trains.
Anyways, the dealer hall opens at noon. So we were there for like 4 hours. That sucked, but whatever. So we immediately walk over to the autographs because I want to check it out. I want to get everything mapped out. I'm there early, might as well figure out my life. So we walk over to the autographs and we see this giant whiteboard, which I will leave a picture of over Tasia's head. Or in front of it. But it essentially says, autographs and Funkos need to be done on the cardboard and not on window. Has to be done in Sharpie, personalized, there's no discussion, whatever. So
you could actually use your markers too.
Well, yeah, you can't use your own paint pens. It has to be Sharpie. So now we're confused because this said nothing about this in the convention. And I'm even now panic checking the website to make sure that I didn't miss anything, because if I miss something, that's one thing. If the convention doesn't say something, that's another. But so nothing is found, and I talked to my buddy who lives down there. Coincidentally, his name is also Alex. And he's like, no, like this is new. Last year and the year before, it was cool. You can get autographs and whatever you want. And so we go and talk to people, and the people who are working there, and they're all, yeah, that's the rule. It was last minute. We were hemming and hawing, and we weren't sure if we wanted to. I'm like, cool. Not to be this guy, can I have a manager? So, yeah, I had to. I've never had to ask for a manager before, but it was the first time. So I was like, can I speak to someone higher up, someone who actually works for the convention instead of a volunteer? So they said he's busy. Come back around, what was it, noon?
I think it was like noon. Yeah.
Yeah, come back around noon. So when the first autograph starts. So now we have to sit there for another 2 hours. The ring light is making my eyes see funny colors. Anyways, it's so bright. So we fast forward back to noon after we've walked around disappointedly, and we see the guy. And I'm talking to him, and I'm like, well, Tasia, my father, is sitting down waiting for me. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. This wasn't stated. He's like, well, again, they were thinking about it and they weren't sure. I'm like, but that doesn't make sense. That's not fair. We drove from a long way. And we came here for these things specifically. If I had known this, I would have either planned around it, would have brought manga or posters or skateboards, because those were fine. Or B, I wouldn't have come. And he's like, nope, that's it. That's the rule. I'm like, well, he's like, as a collector myself, I'm doing this to prevent resellers. I'm like, well, as a collector yourself, would you be okay with this autograph in your collection? Because when you get an autograph on the box, you really only have this area or on the top or the sides, and it's when will you see that? And anything on the front is kind of crowded because it's got all these, well, at least in Naruto and Bleach's case, it's more colors, right? So it's more busy. Busy is the word. Thank you. So, anyways, that's not really what I came for. And I know the autographs are free and that's whatever, but if you're gonna do something like that, you gotta let me know ahead of time, because this is a big decision. Like, these tickets, yeah, they weren't the most expensive tickets, but it's still money I had to spend. And, you know, I still had to drive from Oshawa to Washington. And yes, I was gonna be making it into a bigger trip because I like Washington, but still.
And they weren't exactly friendly about it either.
No, they were not exactly friendly on day one. I guess they had a lot of people complaining, and I think that's rightfully so. So, eventually we're like, okay, whatever, let's go. So, day 2. We parked, and I got my dad to stay in the car because we're not sure if we're staying. So Tage and I walk in, and that's when we're like trying to see this board, and they're essentially kicking us away from like looking out the window. I don't understand why they wouldn't let us look out a window. Like, we're not trying to go down the escalator. I don't want the escalator. I don't want your escalator. I want to see my whiteboard.
And when we looked at the other window, they let us, which is confusing.
Yeah, so like a couple of, like, some staff wouldn't let you look at the window, some staff would. So eventually we find the spot where you can look at the whiteboard, and we see some things missing. So we're trying to like zoom in and take pictures, which I'll leave again in front of Taja's face because I'm mean. Day 2 is Itachi only. I wasn't gonna stay for Renji or Choji because it was at like 1:30, and I was like, I want to do other things if it's gonna be a mess. So, anyways, brought our bags in because they had our Itachi pops. We waited. 10 o'clock it opened. We get into line, and so since you can't line up until 30 minutes before the event, and this one started exactly 30 minutes as soon as the con. Like, it was 10 when the con opens, and this actually was signing at 10:30.
It's at 11.
Yeah, so
10:30 we had to line up.
So right, yes. So it was at 11. And so 10:30 we had to line up. So we walk around a little bit, 10:30, and they shoo you away. They were chasing people around poles saying, we can still see you, get away, go away, go away. So the whole thing.
Then like they weren't like talking either. They were just yelling it, or like they screamed at you through a megaphone.
Yeah, so they were trying to get their point across, which I guess I get because, you know, they want to make sure everybody knows. So eventually we get there, and it's like 10:28, and they're still shooing people away. Like, they're hard on the 10:30. And eventually it's one minute before, and everybody's just like, they're like, fine, but you guys all gotta back up, and they start like screaming everything. And you can tell this part. This is your part to tell.
Yeah, so they were shooing everyone away, screaming loudly, and I learned really quickly I am not good with loud noises. So I ended up having a little panic attack, which was a very interesting experience. One of the, I think it was the head, right?
Yeah, so I had to call over, I tried calling over one of them. It was because I made eye contact with the guy who was screaming. No, nothing against him. He was actually really, really sweet. And I was like, I tried calling him over. He's like, is everything okay? I'm like, I'm not trying to scream out like, hey, she's having a panic attack. So I call him over, and they both actually came over, the department head and this guy, and they're like, is everything okay? I'm like, no. They're like, we're gonna take you to the front. You're gonna go in first. I'm like, cool, done. So they take us over the proxy area. Oh, we should have explained this first. So this convention, we're going to take a detour from this. So remember, we're seeing the proxy area. So this convention, most times when you have accessibility, or in other conventions they call it ADA, you get a fast pass. You get to go to the front of the line, you get out faster. It's so then you don't have to wait in the line longer. If you have anxiety, bad knees, bad back, you can't walk long, you can't walk at all, blind, you know, whatever. So...
But like, they also didn't allow people. They didn't allow people to jump the line either. That's what they said.
I was getting to it. I was talking about the regular ADA right now.
Oh.
Not this convention.
Why is there a difference?
Yeah. So regular conventions you get to skip the line. This one they didn't even sell VIP tickets. So VIP there was nothing. You couldn't skip lines at all. No, not for accessibility, not for VIP, nothing. There was no skipping the line. So your accessibility, they put you in a proxy area. So somebody holds your spot. You sit down in this little. Where it was literally 3 seats on one side. It was like a wall. It was like that. And there was 3 seats here and 3 seats here. So they were like this. Like this. So like 3 seats on the front of here, 3 seats. Anyways, so it was a whole thing. And so we sit down, and eventually, it's probably now about 10:35 once we've been put in the proxy area, and we wait. And then eventually 5-10 minutes later, I want to say, somebody comes over and is like, hey, Actually, no, it was the department head. About 5 minutes later, he comes over. He goes, "Are you guys okay?" I'm like, "I think for now we're good." So about 5 minutes after that, so now it's about 11:40. Some employee came over and was like, "Hey," or 10:40. That's what it is. 10:40. The employee came over and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna give you guys proxy badges. Then you can be here." I'm like, "Cool." And he's like, "You're gonna have to come with me." I was like, "All right, where are we going?" So he puts me in the line. I'm like, "Hey, can you put me somewhere a little bit quicker? Because I don't want to leave her for very long, because now they've separated the both of us." So they put us in the slowest part, or the fast part of the Itachi line at the back, which is fine. It should only take, 10, 15 minutes at most. And then the guy beside him is like, no, he's got to go in the second line, which is the slower one. So now we're talking like half hour, 45 minutes. So I'm like, okay. And another thing I should have mentioned is that I have a data plan which allows me to have my data flowing throughout the states, and I get no extra charges. My dad and my girlfriend did not, so they turned off their data and were mooching off of me. So my dad's in the truck, Tasia's over in the proxy area, I'm in line. I wait about 10 minutes and I go, and I eventually wave one of them down. The guy who put me in the second lineup. I'm like, "Hey, can I go check on her? Because it's been 10 minutes and I can't talk to her." He's like, let me check. So that's like okay, sure, go check. He comes back about 10 minutes later. So now it's 10:50, we'll call it. And he's like, "Yes, I will walk you up." Actually, no, it was the first guy who tried to put me in the fast line. It was the guy who tried to hook me up. So anyways, he takes me back to Tasia, and I sit with her for a little bit, and she's currently having her second breakdown because probably everything was overwhelming, I'm assuming.
And also you were kind of taken away pretty early, I'd say.
Yeah, so anyways, I wait there for about 10 minutes, and I'm like, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving her at this very moment in time. So I call over a lady, and I'm like, "Can I stay here? Because if I leave, this could be an issue." And she's like, let me go ask. So the communication between these employees was not fantastic.
Overall, it kind of seemed like the organization and communication between both parties of staff didn't seem like they got everything together. It kind of just seemed like they were going with a flow kind of thing.
Barely. There was no flow to be had. The flow was a lazy river. Anyway, so she comes back about 10 minutes later, and it's like, "Yeah, you're gonna stay here, but I'm gonna give you these proxy badges now." Meaning that, and then I'm gonna give you this proxy badge. It was the one with bells.
The one you want that?
So originally this is the proxy badge for someone to hold your place in line. We accidentally took these. They just it should be loud. So they accidentally, or they didn't take them back the last day. But anyway, so one that lets you have a proxy, like I'm her proxy, I stand in her line for her, has no bells. It's just a red badge like this. And then when I go to sit in line with her, they give me this badge, and then they give one to the guy who I was behind. So the guy who I'm behind now is holding both of our spot. So about half an hour goes by, and it's now about 11:30. His signing it's about 11:30, 11:40-ish.
Yeah.
I think probably closer to 11:40. Maybe we'll call it 11:35. We'll go right in the middle. 11:40, fine, 11:40, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. I've seen both lines go, and we have not been called. So I call over this lady again, and I'm like, "Hey, just checking in. Where's my proxy?" And she's like, "Ooh, what line were you in?" I'm like, "Hideo for Itachi, And she's like, "Okay, no problem. Let me go check." I was like, "Cool." So she leaves, and then comes back about 5 minutes later. She's like, "What line?" I'm like, "Hideo, Itachi." Cool. She ends up getting a line herself. So now I gotta wait 10 minutes. So now we are at 11:55. Comes back with this other lady. And now she's interrogating me. She's like, she was very rude. She was like, "Why are you here?" I'm like, "To get Itachi's autograph, Hideo." She's like, "Why are you over here?" I'm like, "Panic attack. Companion." And she's like, and then she asked me one other question. I can't remember honestly what it was, but it was like very, very inquisitive, essentially just judging why I'm there. And it's like, because. Anyway, so she takes me to the back of the signing line. So they lost my proxy. They lost my proxy, which was supposed to be our safe bet of me being with her and her being in a safe spot. They lost our proxy. So anyways.
It turned into, the head of the autos for us going straight into the first line to
going to second line.
Second line, and then having a proxy to stand in for us, and then losing them,
and then going to signing.
Yes.
So anyways, now we're in the back of Hideo's line for Itachi. And I pull out my pop, and she pulls out hers, and I'm getting paint pen ready just in case. Just in case. And we talked to the handler for a minute. I can't remember why we asked what we were asking him, but we were asking him a question. He looks down, he goes, "Oh, you're getting that sign?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's my Funko Pop." He's like, no pops allowed." We're like, "What do you mean no pops allowed? Like, even on the cardboard?" He's like, "No, nothing." I'm like, "What do you mean nothing?" It's like, "It was said in the lineup." I was like, "Yeah, I was in proxy. I heard nothing about this." He's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "A proxy." He goes, No, line. It was said in the line." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, I was in the proxy line." But he just wouldn't understand what I was saying. So we get up to the front and we're like, where do we get signed? Because we only came with Funkos.
Yeah.
And I was ready to accept getting on the box because I love Itachi, and it is what it is. But no, so they're like, "Well, you can get it on a piece of paper." So they gave us these, and they had to be personalized, like I said. So here's our Hideo on a piece of paper. But he was super nice, and I honestly hate the interaction I had with him, because I was so just taken aback at how even then another last minute change. It was another last minute change, and I was just like flabbergasted, because it's like, not only did they change my autograph and my Funkos, they changed his. Thank you so much for coming to part 1. Please like and subscribe if you did enjoy it, and turn on the post notifications to stay tuned for part 2. It should be coming up literally tomorrow, whenever that is, but please stay tuned if you did enjoy, and I'll see you